Day Live Alert.
Hi there, everybody. I'm Amy Hockert with Fox 9. We are going to launch a very special Q&A on student loans this afternoon. We're so glad that you're with us. We have someone here that we think can answer some of the questions that you have. Many of you have submitted them over the course of the last few weeks. And there is an important deadline coming up that we want to talk about as well. So Any Tate is here. He's a certified financial planner with Cahill Financial. Thanks for being here.
Oh, you're welcome. Happy to be here.
Yeah. So we have a lot to get to today. Again, we've taken some of your questions, and if you want to send in questions to us, you can email them right here in real time to fox9news@fox.com. And maybe we can, in a few minutes here, put up that address on the screen, and our team will be taking those questions as well. But Andy, first we want to talk a little bit about where we are now and how we got here. So let's start with some important deadlines that have happened here in September and now as we head into October.
Yes, first and foremost, in September 1st, the interest started to accrue again. October 1st is when the payments are going to start to go out. So most people should have already received some sort of notice saying payments are due shortly.
Yeah. And it's been a little bit of even an emotional roller coaster for a lot of folks, right? Because this started pandemic time. Walk us through kind of how we got here.
Well, to do a little bit of a history lesson, this actually dates back to the GI Bill in 1944. Oh. So this isn't the first time that we've had the government step in to give us a little bit of a push. So where we've gotten to where it is today is when the pandemic hit, so March of 2020, we were put in, every federal loan was put in forbearance. So interest wasn't charged, you didn't have to make payments. So it's been 3.5 years, and I know that the payments are going to be painful for some, but we've had 3.5 years without making payments or accruing interest. So we're here now. Now we have to deal with it. Hopefully we can handle it correctly.
Yeah, so the Supreme Court has blocked President Biden's loan forgiveness plan, and that's kind of what brought us here. So in general, do people tend to take these student loans less seriously than other loans in your experience?
I think they do. I think a car you see every day, a couple times a day, you live in your home. I think those loans kind of take on some pride. It's, I have a car worth this much. Doesn't mean that's what you own. That's just what it costs when it's on the lot. Where an education doesn't necessarily carry that. It's almost a burden. All of them are burdens. It's just some are kind of more, they're more fun to drive around in. So I think a lot of the time student loans are forgotten about, and you almost have resentment towards that. People forget when you're 18 or 19 years old, you gave a commitment that you're going to pay this back. And if you don't have cash up front, you're going to pay an interest rate on it.
Right.
So I think there's been a little bit of a misguided angle towards student loans.
Right. And we'll get into here in just a few minutes some of the things that can happen if you fail to pay these. So it can be very serious. I want to just give folks kind of an overview of where we are here in the U.S. The average student loan debt in the U.S., I think we have some numbers here to just lay it out. So $1.75 trillion. The average amount owed right now is nearly $29,000. That's a lot. 92% of student loan debt is coming from federal loans, so we'll talk about the difference between federal and then that small percentage of private loans as well. 26 million people applied for forgiveness, and then 16 million approved. And as soon as they found out, Andy, that they had to start paying it back, it was people kind of got on that pretty quick, right?
The panic button was hit.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Millions of people have now been trying to figure out how they're going to take care of this. So for everybody's financial situation a little bit different. Sure, during the pandemic, right, there was an opportunity to maybe put away some money.
Well, I think if you have ample enough time before this deadline came to prepare and plan for it, I think it would put people in a good position. The problem is this deadline kept getting extended. Now, it's not necessarily a problem. That's been a good thing. But I think it gave a few folks out there the idea that this is never actually going to come to fruition. We saw some headlines saying all of it would be forgiven. Well, I didn't think that was going to be the case. Some were hoping that would be the case. We had a period where some of the loans actually had a much wider swath of employers that would qualify for loan forgiveness. So some people did get the magic ticket, others did not. So I think there's been a little bit of the expectations have been kind of messed with. And I think people now are realizing this is real. It's time to start paying.
And again, getting back to the emotional piece of this, a lot of people from other generations are saying, you know what, this is not fair,
The
right?
ugly
There's
four,
that piece too.
The ugly four-letter F word. So when we come to fair and defining it, I think figuring out student loan forgiveness would be far easier than defining what is fair, what is not.
Sure.
So I've had both arguments. I can see both sides of it. The one thing that I will challenge those who have said, well, I paid them off. Why is it fair that the people nowadays don't have to? I could have a counter argument that the cost of education has gone up much quicker, much higher than inflation. Not recently, but over the course of the last couple of decades. So the cost of education is more. It has not mirrored the increase in the consumer price index or what people are getting paid. I think we're seeing that with some of the strikes that are happening currently. So I think when it comes to fair, I also want to look at those who were able to pay off their student loans. So think about those folks that had the means to do so. More than likely they've invested, and they've invested in companies. Well, if we take some of this debt load off of some of our consumers and allow them to go back to consuming, one thing Americans are very good at is consumption. Well, that's going to drive some of these companies, which in turn drive some of these investments. So I think you have to look at it from both sides. It is okay to take some of the burden off of these borrowers to let them go back into the economy and start spending again.
Yeah. Right, that does have that ripple effect into the economy. Well, we want to talk solutions for folks, and we want to be respectful of where they may be on the spectrum of their ability to pay or not pay right now. So when I asked you, when we talked on the phone a couple of days ago, and I said, if you had one piece of advice, where do we start with all of this? So do you want to start with the big
Absolutely.
organize here? Right?
Organize. It's without question the number one thing to do. If you are properly organized, if you have all of the data at your fingertips, you're going to be more equipped to make sure you're going to be paying the appropriate amount. There are a number of programs that have been rolled out. Now, that creates confusion, but confusion isn't necessarily a bad thing. This program is better than its predecessor. So we just have to use it correctly and make sure it fits. And for example, call your service providers. Over the last 3.5 years, this hasn't been on people's minds necessarily. They've thought that it will continually have the can kicked down the road. Well, we're here. Well, your service provider may have changed. So you need to not only call to figure out who they are, which is an odd concept. You call your service provider, it may be a different company, but also verify that they have your contact information. Because if they change again, they have to be able to get a hold of you.
Yeah, if people at home are feeling overwhelmed and they're feeling like, where do I even start? And when we say organize, that even feels overwhelming to them. I think it's important to point out that literally you're talking about the basics here, which is printing out maybe the current status. I mean, do you want to walk through just some of the very basic things that people should start to do to get some traction here?
I'm a little old school. I think it's helpful having a paper copy of it. And at times you're going to have multiple loans to deal with. Print them out, put them in front of you. Verify, print out your payments so you can verify if those payments have been actually accounted for you or not. Then you have proof. Keep bank receipts, or not receipts, but have the transaction counted, written down someplace. If your provider or servicer comes back and says that payment didn't happen June of 2021, well, here's the proof. The exact same thing you do with your taxes. So this isn't new. It's just in addition to what you've done in the past. Okay. So I think actually printing out your loans, calling them, going on the government website, and then having them run a simulation for you as well, and compare that to what your service provider has actually shown you, and make sure those numbers match up. That's just a nice safety check as well. And then come back, revisit it.
Yeah.
So you're going to have to re-enroll for auto pay again.
This is a big point.
This is a big point, because if you miss a month, everything gets thrown away. So you need, if you auto enrolled January of 2020, you got to come back and do it again. Now, when that happens, think of the influx of people that are going into the system right now. Mistakes will happen. Yeah. Humans make mistakes. So you need to verify. The mistake will fall on your shoulders even if you don't make the mistake yourself. So in 45 days, go back, check it again. Call, verify, make sure the contact information is correct, make sure auto pay is set up correctly. Because at 45 days, you've made one payment, and that's before your second payment. Yeah. So I think that's critical.
Okay, so maybe even have a calendar where you're putting, okay, today I'm printing out the current status of everything. 45 days from now, maybe circle that day or that week and check to see that that auto pay is set up correctly.
I mean, nobody does
coming out.
anything the week of Thanksgiving. So Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday of Thanksgiving, just plan on going
Yeah.
back through student loans again.
Okay.
It's a good just reminder. We all will know when Thanksgiving is. I think that's a good time to take a check in.
And then how about like a 60 or 120 day? Would you say stay on it?
Stay on it. This is evolving. July of 2024 is when this officially hits, which is also kind of intimidating because I thought it started September 1. They're still rolling it out. They're allowing people to have what's called a ramp up period. So at 60 days, go back in, again, just verify that everything has been done correctly. And then at 120 days, so give it a couple of months, go back into the federal government's website for student aid and student loan forgiveness and verify that there haven't been any updates that impact you. And there's a lot of moving parts to this. So this is something that you need to stay on top of. And as questions come up, you don't want to make a wrong choice, obviously, but there could be some financial ramifications if you do make the wrong choice.
Okay. So let's move on to this segment of folks who are looking at this and thinking, I don't know how I'm going to make these payments. Maybe I'm in a different financial situation than I was 6 months ago, 2 weeks ago. I just feel overwhelmed and underwater right here. What if you're going to have trouble paying? What are your options?
Well, I saw one statistic that of the Gen Z, there are right now 70%, or 9%, excuse me, 9.5% of those carrying loans are in default right now.
Okay.
And so if you're in a position where you're in trouble, and this is not going to be easy to make, that's why this plan is here. The SAVE plan is here. You're taking in your income and you're taking in your family. There's a calculation that determines what your payments will be. For example, if your pay, and there's a complicated equation as far as poverty line, how large your family is, they will get down to a number. Essentially, if you make less than $15 an hour, you're not going to make any payments.
Yeah.
And you'll get credit for it.
Okay.
So that's tremendous. So if you are having a hard time making those payments, odds are your income is low, this plan is set up to help you out. So you need to apply for that. You're going to hear deferment, you're going to hear forbearance, you're going to hear income-based repayment plans, save, repay. There's all kinds of different options out there. First things first, you need to call your service provider, ask them, your loan provider, what steps do I need to take? I'm not going to be able to make these payments. And so you just have to be organized and on top of it.
Yeah, but there are options out there, I think, is the most important message, right?
Absolutely. So there are some examples for, forbearance. If you're in a position where you're still a student, let's say you're in a graduate program, you're not earning income, but you have your student loans, you can go apply for deferment and you can push that payment back. You don't have the income to do it because you're still a student. You may not be a full-time student, but you have to be at least a 50% student.
Sure.
So there are situations that come up that will allow you to push back on those.
Okay. For those out there who are still holding on to hope that it's in some way, shape, or form, these could be forgiven somehow. What are the circumstances in which these could be forgiven?
Well, they can be. In 2007, the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Plan came out. And I remember talking with clients back then, thinking to myself, I wonder if this is going to work. How that's set up is if you're with a qualifying employer, you make payments every month, every single month. You don't miss a month. Every single month for 10 years, the remaining balance is forgiven. It sounds wonderful on paper, but you have to be with the right employer. So that's where that catch was. Well, in the SAVE plan, which is what we're in right now, starting October 1st, so in a couple of days, it says if you make payments within 20 or 25 years, depending on the loan and how it's set up, the remaining balance will be forgiven. So it's something to keep in mind because we get the questions, well, I don't want to make the payment to my student loans. I'd rather pay it down my house. Right. Let's wrap everything back in. I know we had talked about that as well.
Yeah.
You're taking what might be a 20-year repayment schedule, putting it into your 30-year mortgage. All we're doing is extending it. So you have to be careful. There isn't a one-stop or one-size-fits-all concept. It really is based on your family. And as you're going through it, this is another key point. It's based on your income and your family size. So here's a little known fact. If you have a larger family and your income is down, notify your loan servicer immediately because you could lower your payment. Now, if you get a promotion and your income triples and your family size shrinks, well, you'd only have to notify them once a year. So, because in that situation, your payment would go up.
Yeah.
This is income based. So there are people out there that this plan does not work for.
Interesting.
Because their income is at a level and their family size is small, that it actually would increase their payment. So again, it's not one size fits all.
Yeah, very individual. A lot of people might be concerned about, credit right now. And if I miss a payment, will that be a major hit on my credit history?
Could be. How's that for a solid answer? The way it's written right now is the government will not deem you delinquent. So being in default is if you miss 1 month. So they will report that, they will give that information to the credit agencies. So they may or may not use that to lower your credit score, the fact that you missed a payment. But as far as labeling you delinquent, that will not happen until September of 2024. So you have time. It's called their ramp-up period. If you're in default today, you do nothing until then, you will be delinquent and you will go to a collections agency, and nobody wants that.
Okay. We've been talking primarily here about federal loans. If we could just address that small percentage, I think we showed the stat that it was about 8% of folks who have a private loan. Maybe grandpa co-signed for you, right? Walk us through some of that. It seems a little more gray.
It is. When you have a cosigner, that cosigner is on this contract, on that contract. So maintain a good relationship with that person. Make your payments. If you don't, they will have to. Okay. So yes, you will get a lower rate because there are two people responsible. So just fundamentally, if the lender can spread out their risk, they have more than one payer, they're going to give you a cheaper rate. If it's dependent on one person, you pay a higher rate. So people look, well, I could get 15% or I could get 10% if grandma and grandpa would sign off on it. Well, if you decide that you'd rather go buy a car instead of pay your student loans, grandma and grandpa are not going to be happy.
Yeah.
They'll be responsible. Another thing to keep in mind with the private loans, if you were to pass, those loans stay with your estate. If they stay with the federal government, they go with you. So that's also something to keep in mind. Private loans, there are a lot of questions regarding refinancing. Well, if you've been tracking what's going on with the federal government, rates are higher.
Yeah.
They're higher now than they were a few months ago.
Right.
Now, we'll see what happens in the future without predicting if it's going to go up or down. They've been trending down, but if you're going to go in and refinance a note that you took out a student loan note in 2021, I'm very confident it's going to be much higher today. So the refinancing options where I think people get confused is variable rate versus fixed rate. Right. If you got a fixed rate in 2021, you're probably sitting okay. If you're in a variable rate and it's being recalculated every single year, you could be in for a surprise. And you don't find out until you get your annual adjustment. So again, that's another surprise people need to be ready for. So the private loans are a little bit of a different animal. They're going to stick with the family if you're there or not.
Okay. We talked about the income-driven repayment plans. I don't know if there's anything else you wanted to touch on with those. And I also want to hit on the public service loan forgiveness as well.
The public service loan forgiveness is a plan I alluded to earlier as far as if you make 10 years of payments and never miss, the remaining balance is forgiven, but you have to have a qualifying employer. So again, the studentaid.gov website has a link. You can go and search your employer. So you can no longer apply for that. That window has closed.
Okay, that's good to know.
There was a stretch where I think has added some confusion. Again, confusion doesn't mean bad. The confusion that was added is they actually opened up more employers to qualify for that type of loan forgiveness. That closed, I want to say July or August. So that was a recent change. Again, I didn't think they did a nice job of rolling that information out, but that's just me being critical. But that was a great opportunity. Again, going back, that started in 2007. In 2017, I remember sitting with a client like, I hope this works. And it did.
Okay.
So, and then we've had a number of situations this summer where I'm like, try it again. And people would go in, plug in the information. A couple days later, they had the golden ticket, or they called the golden email. Their balance is gone. I don't think that's going to be the case moving forward. I think this new plan, again, going back to the discussion over what's fair, what's not, this is really intended to help society.
Yeah.
So individually, it's going to impact certain people more so than others. So I think as a whole, it's a great thing, but there were some old plans that I think were a little bit more effective for a certain portion of our working force.
This makes sense. All right. Let's talk about this. The environment right now is ripe for scams, and
Oh, boy.
we're hearing about it a lot. Tell me what you've seen, what you've heard, and then let's just talk through, you know, just the ugliness that's happening right now with these scams.
Well, like we said before we jumped on, I mean, AI is impressive.
Yeah.
There's a lot of capability out there to trick the consumer. So you have to, and they always say trust your instincts or trust your guts. That's not good enough anymore. We have to do more. So you do not need to pay to have someone help you with your federal loans.
Okay,
So I
that's
cannot
important.
cannot make that any clearer. You do not have to pay to have people help with your federal loans. So if someone calls and says send me $500 or $5,000, I'll shave off $10,000 from your student loans, I wouldn't believe it.
Okay.
I know we see commercials that advertise debt reduction strategies and this and that. That's in the private sector. These are federal loans. This is very, very different. If someone calls, they're not calling you from the federal government. You reach out to them. You need to call your loan service provider and talk with them. If someone calls you, I would not disclose any information whatsoever. You can ask questions. Asking questions is not sharing information. You're drawing information from them. You're not providing any. So the main thing is make sure you call them, you work through the federal government, and make sure that these companies are reputable.
Okay.
Don't sign any power of attorneys. Don't give out any passwords, usernames. This goes across the board. But with AI, you're going to be able to get targeted. And with data breaches that have happened recently, people know your information, and they're going to be able to find it. And they'll have robots calling you. So just plan on that. And I would just, as I do with everything else, if it doesn't come up on my phone, I don't answer it.
Yeah. All right. Yeah. Email scams are big right now too. So I think the bottom line is you be proactive, you be the one to make the calls, and then let the reputable, the certified folks at the government help you understand what your best options are, right?
And they list them out, and you can double check.
Okay.
I mean, Department of Education is a good resource. The studentaid.gov, tremendous resource. So lean on those websites.
Yeah.
And if you do come across a scam, and if you do get tied up into one, make sure you report it. We need to get the authorities notified when these are happening, because as consumers, we have to protect ourselves. That cost ultimately comes back to us.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Okay, you're a financial planner, not a CPA, but folks probably have some questions about tax implications here. So walk us through what we should be aware of, well, not giving any real advice, right?
Definitely not. Compliance went like that. So one thing you can do is you can deduct up to $2,500 a year in interest, and that's ongoing. That changed, a few years ago. They used to have loans only after a certain date would qualify for that. That changed in the CARES Act. So everybody will qualify for that, no matter when your loan was taken out. So understand that needs to be put on a line item in your tax filing. The other strategy, and this goes back into financial planning as much as tax planning, is if you file married filing separately or married filing jointly, there's just a button you check, one or the other. Well, if we go back to how you qualify and how you determine your payment, your income, and the size of your family. Well, if one spouse has a higher income, one has a lower income, and you file separately, so you each have your own tax return, you may qualify for a much lower payment. Now, the flip side of it is why you need to work with a qualified tax person is it may increase a different part of your tax. So think of a half full balloon. You push on one, the other side goes up. Well, make that analysis and identify, well, if I push on this side of the balloon, it only goes up a little bit. Conversely, if I push on this, it goes up a lot. So that's part of the equation that you want to look at. And also, when you're going through these, when you're filing your taxes, that is a reminder that certain forms have to be submitted. If you're part of the public service loan forgiveness, you have to submit a form. When you have a material change in income, family status, you're going to have to make sure you notify your loan folks to make sure that they can adjust your payment, even if it goes up. So that's something to be aware of as well. There is talk during this ramp-up period that you'll be able to link your tax filing with the loan providers.
Yeah.
So that'll happen automatically. I do like the fact that it simplifies it.
Yeah.
It's also adding another chef in the kitchen, if you will.
Sure.
So I personally like to keep some of the separation there, but just make sure you're filing it.
Okay. Not everybody is going to be able to or want to pay a CPA. If you're a DIY kind of person and you're just going to go get the TurboTax or try to do it yourself, what's your advice?
I would say hiring a qualified accountant is becoming harder and harder. They're busy, and it's not an industry that's growing as fast as they probably need to. So I'm seeing a lot more of the DIYs. So the software now is set up in a way where they do a nice job of really prompting you and kind of leading you down certain paths that are in your best interest. They're not trying to take you any place you shouldn't be going. So I would definitely work with the software. I think a good idea, I think in any scenario, every 3 years, if you are doing it yourself, every 3 years, go have it reviewed. Having your taxes prepared versus having your taxes reviewed, typically, not always, typically is lower cost. That way you're getting somebody who knows what they're doing, probably more than you do, not being an accountant, being able to take a look at it, making sure that no mistakes were made.
Sure. Also, it's dependent upon what your personal situation is, if you own a business or if, there are so many variations there. So along those lines, we do want to get to some of the viewer questions that we've received over the course of the last couple of weeks. And we've got Ryan in the booth for us. And Ryan, if you have any additional questions that people have emailed into us, feel free to let me know about that and we'll try to get to those. But the first one is actually somebody who is interested in starting a business, has some student loan debt, and this person is asking, what do I need to know as I go into this next month or so?
I wish they would have done it 10 months ago. Rates have gone up, but going into a business loan setting, you're going to have to provide all the business documents. You're going to have to show what the business is going to do. Is it a hot dog stand? Is it a hair salon? What is it? Well, part of that is it going to be a viable business? Ultimately, that's what the lender is trying to decide. And if you have, I'm going to exaggerate to prove a point, if you have a $20,000 a month student loan bill versus a $200 a month student loan bill, that lender knows that you have to make those payments. They don't necessarily care if it's a $5 million student loan balance, but they want to see how those payments will lie. Because maybe that business loan is only for 5 years. Can you make those payments for 5 years? They don't care if you're going to make it for 25. So it will be factored in. That will be a question you have to disclose, but it's not going to help. Now, again, the flip side of it is, if you've been making payments for 13, 14, 15 years, you're a good customer. You're going to make your payments. So it can help in certain situations. Writing checks doesn't necessarily feel good, but it does show that you are responsible and payments will be made.
Sure. Okay. This next person serves in the military and wants to know if those loans are eligible for deferment.
Well, thank you for serving, and a gift the government's giving you is deferment.
Yeah.
So they get to have a little break, and then immediately following active duty, they also get a break. Okay. So they deserve it.
Okay, great. This person says, should I consolidate or refinance my student loans? We talked about this a little earlier. Should I use a home equity loan to refinance these student loans if I can get it at a lower interest rate? So you touched about it a little bit. Let's kind of expand on that.
I'm going to use the home equity line of credit, also known as a HELOC. Yeah. So what people will do, we have this housing market that was very hot during the pandemic. So using round math, your house is worth $100. It now is worth $130 because we're all staying home more. Well, is it still at $130? I don't know. It depends on the location. So people were saying, I have this new growth. I have this new asset, per se. I'm going to use that to pay off some debt. You don't capture that asset unless you sell your home. Well, one way to get sort of access to it is to take out a line of credit. So the problem with that is you may have left in 2021 a fixed rate of 2.85%, and you went into a home equity line at 3.5%, but that's an annual renewable interest rate. Now it's at 7%. So that's a concern. Yeah. So you've taken a low fixed rate into a variable scenario, and the interest rates have been going up. The other side of it too is, depending on where you're at in the process, what if you're at year 18 and the remaining balance is forgiven at year 20? Why on earth would you stretch it out even further? Yeah. Because now you're capturing all of the debt, or maybe 15 or 12 or 10,000 could be forgiven. So you really have to look at on a case-by-case situation and what you're dealing with. Rolling it into your primary mortgage, I'm not a fan of. Like I said, that can extend the term. 20 or 25 years is obviously less than 30. And also, too, the rates that we were seeing for student loans for 7, 8, 9 years were phenomenal.
Right.
Phenomenal. You know, the question, not to jump ahead, but if someone got a promotion.
Yeah, that's the next question. So yeah, what happens then?
What happens if you found yourself in a financial situation where you have more money? Well, you don't have to notify your lender until that 1 year is up. So let's say you're at month 2, you're not required to tell them until month 12.
Okay.
Enjoy the 10 months where they still think you're making less.
Yeah.
So take that as an opportunity to put some money in different places.
Okay.
Now, pay more towards your student loans? Maybe. What's the rate? How far along are you in the payoff? The other side of it is, okay, if we have 5 years left, so we're at year 15, at year 20, the remaining balance will be forgiven. And the rates are going, my payment's going to go up because my income has gone up, but I've also delayed putting money away for retirement or paying down other high interest rate debts.
Right.
Make the determination, take the newfound money, have some fun with it. I've always said that. Have some fun. You're going to pay a little bit more in taxes, then pay off some debts.
Okay.
And if it has to be a third, then do it to keep it simple. But really again, if you're organized, you can take a look at what the interest rates are, how close are you to the finish line, and what are your options? Because there's an opportunity cost.
Okay. So some serious adulting needs to happen
Yeah.
at this stage, right?
Real fun topic.
I mean, yeah, I know when I was younger, that would have been a really tall task. So I appreciate how hard this is going to be for a lot of people. The other question we have here is this woman, I feel for her. So her daughter has a loan. She says that her daughter made an interest payment the fall before the interest rate was frozen. So that would have been 2019. A month ago, she signed up for the repayment plan, but that interest payment that she made 4 years ago is not showing up now in this loan balance. And so of course they're trying to get a hold of the folks to try to say what's going on with this, and it's endless on hold. It's no response to emails. I mean, is that pretty typical right now for responses?
Well, I think you started off by saying, what do we have? 26 million applied. 92% of all student loans are federal. So they're busy. They're very busy. Again, going back to being organized on top of this, a mistake made on the other end of the phone or email is still your responsibility. So I wish I had better news. You need to stay on it.
Okay.
And hopefully now there are plans during this ramp up period from now until September of 24 that you're going to be able to catch up on some of those payments and hopefully get credit for what you're doing. So if you missed 2 months back in 2022, and you can't, well, they miss it or you miss it, you know, that depending on what kind of proof you have, you may be able to make those 2-month payments and get back in good standing. So there are a couple of options called a loan rehabilitation option, where you can go in and you work with your loan provider. If you make 9 out of the next 10 months, if you make 9 payments in the next 10 months, you get taken out of the default status and you're back in good standing. The catch, you do it one time. That's it. So use it correctly, use it wisely. But that's a way for saying, you know what, I've been through a rough patch. I need to get caught back up. I want to hit the reset button. They'll let you do that. So understand that there are some options, but it comes down to it. You got to call. Yeah. You got to just stay on it.
Okay. I need to ask you a really subjective question that kind of just popped in my head. So as a parent, and you say you have somebody, you know, your kids who are in this age group, maybe just have graduated from college. You're trying to let them figure this out on their own, but you're also their parent or their guardian or their grandparent. How much do you step in and try to fix it for them? And I'm asking you this as a fellow parent, and just as somebody who gives financial advice. You know, at what point do you just go, "Sorry, kiddo, you got to figure this out"?
Treat it like their homework. You can't do the homework for them, but you can ask them how it's going.
Okay.
And again, personal opinion, let your child know the question's coming. Nobody likes to be blindsided. You know what, in 3 weeks, I'm going to take you out to lunch, or in 3 weeks, I'm going to call you depending on where everyone lives. I'm going to check in on how this is coming along. I'm curious, because it could directly impact your child, which directly impacts you as well. I think letting them know in a month, I'm going to ask. And they've taken out a student loan. They understand that they're going to have assignments that are due. you've added a pretty simple assignment with some big consequences. So I think it's worth just communicating with them. Let them know it's coming.
Okay, all right. Andy, is there anything else that you wanted to add? We've covered a lot of ground today.
I would say keep your head up. This is a good thing. And I think where, again, our original conversation of a car loan and a home loan, there's a pride aspect to it. In a student loan, people are embarrassed by it. And I think otherwise, because if you are continuing your education and took out a loan to further it, it's not always going to be perfect, but there's the chances of you having a higher income and having a better opportunity to pay these loans back, it's mathematically proven. Again, not across the board, but I would say look at this as a great opportunity. This is meant to help a few people get back on their feet. Those that can afford it are going to have to pay for it. Going back to our fair conversation, it's not fair for everyone. I understand that. But I think society as a whole is what this is geared towards. I think it's going to help get our consumers back consuming. I just hope they do it in a responsible fashion. But
we hope so. All right, we'll see how this rolls out here in the coming months and years. Any Tate with Cahill Financial, Certified Financial Planner. Thank you so much for all of your insight today and hopefully answering these questions. This segment will be available on our website, so you can go back and revisit it or share it with somebody who you think maybe needs to hear it. So thanks again for your time.
Thank you.
Appreciate it so
You're
much.
welcome.
All right, we're going to send you back now to Fox 9 all-day programming.